Today is July 23rd, 2014. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Randy Birmingham in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Sir, where were you born?
I was born in Trona, California.
Where?
Trona, Trona. It's out in the Mojave Desert.
Okay. When's your birthday?
12/27 of 46.
1946. Who's your father?
Albert M. Birmingham.
And your mother?
Betty Jane Siebert Birmingham. Seybert. That was her maiden name.
Okay. Did you go through school in Trona?
No. In fact, parents moved back here to Oklahoma when I was about 2 years old. And then
Why'd they move back here?
Mom wanted to come home. See, Mom was from this area, and they all had went out to California during the war because they like starved as around here. So they worked in the shipyards out in Richmond, I guess, Oakland area.
And where'd they move in Oklahoma?
When?
No, well, where did they move? Where and when?
They moved to Bartlesville, and it was about 1948.
Okay. Where'd you start the school in Bartlesville?
Little old country school on Virginia Road called Lakeview. And
is that on North Virginia?
yeah, it's on North Virginia Road. It's before you reach 9th Street.
How many students in Lakeview School?
Oh, it was a 1 through 8th grade, I believe. And they probably wasn't over 50 to 60 students.
Okay. How many rooms in that school?
Man, it was a long time ago. It was the main room where all the classroom was, and there was a workshop and a little gymnasium and the restroom. That's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the cafeteria was a separate little building next to it.
Okay. And it was on about 9th in Virginia?
Right.
That's not far from where the Bureau of Mines is.
No, we're going north. 9th Street out of Dewey.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you're in 9th Street out of Dewey.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Out there.
Okay.
It's about a mile from where we lived out in Virginia. You know where the church is there at Oak Park?
Yes.
It's probably a mile north of there. It's torn down and gone now.
Okay. So, you go to high school in Dewey?
Yes, we started, in fact, they closed the school out there, Lakeview School, in the middle of my 5th grade. So we went to Dewey, transferred to Dewey.
Yeah. What year did you graduate?
65.
1965.
Yep. No.
In your school, who was your favorite teacher?
Oh, Mr. Swain. I can't remember his first name.
Why was he your favorite?
Oh, I don't know. He was just, he took a big interest in the kids more so than the other teachers.
Now, did he teach at Dewey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a history teacher, and he done some coaching.
What type of work did your father do?
He's a carpenter. Him and his dad before that. And,
What did you do for recreation in high school?
played a little football, and that's about it. I didn't play in any other sports.
Do you remember the Gulf of Tonkin incident? That was in '64, I think.
I knew about it from the radio,
Yeah. Okay.
TV.
Okay. What did you do after high school?
Let's see. I went to work at a gas station
Which one?
down here on Frank Phillips and Santa Fe. It ain't there anymore. It used to be a Forrest Gresham station. He had a station and he had a little liquor store right next to it, and across from Red Pump. And then I'd went to work for Red Pump in the fall of '66, and then in the spring of '67. Let's see. No. I went to work there. I was drafted in '66. So I guess the fall of '65, I started at Red Pump and worked there till spring of '66. I was drafted.
Okay.
You know.
What did you do at Red Pump?
Just dismantle pumps and protectors and motors and things like that.
Okay. When were you drafted?
Well, I went in on the 23rd or 24th of May, '66.
Where'd you go for your basic training?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Tell me about basic.
in Louisiana in June and in July, or last part of May in June, and first part of July. It's one of the hottest places on earth, I think.
What type of training did you have?
Well, when I got out of basic, we went to, in fact, I'd had orders to report to Fort Sam Houston, Texas to be a medic. And then when I got to Oklahoma City, they give me new orders to go to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for combat engineer. So.
Now, what is Tiger Land?
I never experienced it, but.
So you didn't get to Tiger Land at Fort Polk then?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
We knew it was there, knew it was at, and things, but we never did get to go.
What's your most vivid memory of basic?
A sergeant I hated worse than I ever hated anybody on earth, I think. His name was Props. And I don't know, he just seemed like he singled me out every time we had to demonstrate something, you know. I was singled out. And,
Basic lasted how long?
8 weeks.
Okay. Now, were you told about Vietnam and basic training? What was going on?
Yeah. Yeah, they told us at least half of us probably going to Vietnam.
What do you think about that?
Really, at being, 18, 19 years old, not a lot, it's just...
Now, what do you think when you were changed from medic to combat engineer?
Well, I was pretty relieved because I'd heard that the medics, are in a lot of action and right in the middle of the fighting.
So tell me about your combat engineer training, Fort Leonard Wood.
Oh, part of it was a lot of fun. We learned how to find mines and disarm the mines, and we learned about C4 and how to use it, and det cord. And
what is det cord?
It's like a plastic tubing about a 1/4 inch.
Oh. You were talking about combat engineer training at Fort Leonard Wood.
Yeah, we were talking about the det cord. The
Yes.
det cord is a kind of like a plastic tubing, like maybe 1/4 to 3/8 in diameter, and it's filled with like C4 explosive. And it burns at a rate of like 2,300 feet per second or something like that. I mean, they strung it out, and it seemed when it, it's close together, it seemed like it just explodes all at once. And they used it to tie C4 together to have explosions go off almost the same time. But they had to string it out for, I don't know, several hundred yards before you could see it travel. It went so fast. So.
Now, you learned to defuse landmines. So, now, was that EOD?
What was that?
EOD?
EOD, what was that?
That's the guys that defuse all the mines and everything. I don't know what that's an acronym for explosive ordnance something.
Oh, yeah. Most of these were anti-personnel mines and tank mines.
Okay.
They weren't these EUDs or IUDs or.
Now, how do you locate these mines? What kind of equipment do you use?
Well, they had a metal detector.
Hold on. You're talking about how to find the mines, locate the mines.
Yeah, most everything was a metal detector that we used to find the mines, and in fact, I think that was the only way. Well, they had us down on our hands and knees crawling around. We used knives, poking to see if we could find any mines, to kind of clear an area to walk through. But mostly metal detector.
Okay. Now, what is the object of a combat engineer? What do they do?
Well, in our company in Vietnam, in our whole battalion or whatever, there was a bridge company which built bridges. There was one that B company. They had dozers and dump trucks and road graders. They built roads. And then C company, I forget what they do. One of them was had the boats, the pontoon boat type boats, and it's the headquarters company. They had all the good equipment.
And you were trained to do what?
Well, I was trained to do a little bit of the mine, the explosives in the mines and stuff like that.
So you weren't trained to build bridges or anything like that?
No, we built some panel bridges, practice, and I even got in on that over in Vietnam one time.
Was the Bader Bridge still in use at this time?
I don't know.
Okay. Because that was used in World War II.
Oh, really?
We saw some in Europe still being used during World War II. Yeah. Okay. How long did your training last at Fort Leonard Wood?
I think it was 8 weeks, I believe.
Okay. Then where'd you go?
Straight to Vietnam. Well, I come home on leave for about 2 weeks. Got married.
When you got orders to Vietnam, what'd you think?
Well, we all expected it, so I didn't know what to expect.
Tell me about the trip to Vietnam.
Well, it was funny. We left here left California on the 30th of October and landed in Vietnam on November the 1st.
What year? 66?
66.
66.
And we missed Halloween, because of the time lost. So we had Halloween on the plane. Those stewardesses, they put on a good deal and had candy and hats and stuff for us. And of course, no alcohol. But
yeah. You left from what city?
I think it was Travis. Well, we were out in Oakland, and I think we left out of Travis Air Force Base.
Okay. And you landed where in Vietnam?
Landed in Saigon.
Did you fly straight to Vietnam?
No, we went to Anchorage, Alaska, and then from there to Yokosuka, Japan, and then into Saigon.
Okay.
Yeah, on the way back, it's totally different. We flew from Benoit Air Force Base straight to Travis Air Force Base, California. I think it's 18 hours in there.
What do you do on an 18-hour airplane flight?
Sleep all you can. That's
So what'd you do in Saigon?
Well, we went from Saigon. They sent us to what they called a 90th Replacement Battalion. You had to wait till you got your orders and got all your papers straightened out to go to your company, and then they put you on a bus and hauled you to your company.
And you were assigned to what unit?
1st Engineer Battalion. It was 1st Infantry Division, 1st Engineer Battalion, B Company.
And you were based where?
In they call it Firebase Xeon, spell it D-I-A-N. And it was probably about 20 some miles from Saigon.
Okay. What, north of Saigon? Or?
Which way is Benoit?
That's north.
Okay, it was north.
Okay. What type of quarters did you have?
Well, we first got there was tents with that PSP flooring in them, that metal, pierced metal that snapped together. And then a little later on, they started building some hooches out of. They'd brick them up halfway and then screen the other half and tin roof. And they were pretty nice compared to the tents.
Yeah. So what did you do in Vietnam as a combat engineer?
Well, I didn't actually work as a combat engineer. When I seen it was either first sergeant or sergeant major was there, and he interviewed me, and he said, "Want to know what I done back in the States before I was drafted?" And I told him, I said, "Well, I worked for a pump company. We manufacture pumps, motors, protectors, and stuff. And worked on old cars all the time." And he said, "You interested in doing a little mechanic work?" I said, "Well, sure." They was needing a mechanic in the motor pool. So they sent me to the motor pool, and I worked on those deuce and halves and 5 tons and Jeeps and 3/4 ton stuff. Most time we had brakes. That was from either the dust in the dry season or the mud in the rainy season. And was always working on the brakes and replacing those hydrovacs. They went out constantly, seemed like. So. And then probably about halfway through my tour, they were needing a parts clerk, PLL clerk, and the sergeant, or no, the captain, motor pool captain asked me if I'd be interested in that, and I said, yeah. So I got in there and trained with him, and that's what I done the rest of my time.
What does a parts clerk do?
He sets up a kind of a little supply house, and keeping all the various parts that you use. I had a little system set up, it had the part numbers and stuff on it, and you were allowed so many per usage. They had a multiplication deal. You figured out if you use so many in 12 months, you're allowed to have this many in stock. So I set up a little parts store, which this boy had had something, but it wasn't. He just operated out of trailers. Stuff we just throw it into trailers and stuff. And when he he left. I had a bunch of the Vietnamese helping me. Had about 5 or 6 of them, and so we cleaned all this out, built shelves and everything, and labeled them and everything else, and set up a nice little old parts store. So I would go out with them. I'd load up a trailer full of, whenever they go out on operations, we'd load up a trailer full and probably deuce and half, about half full, and go out on convoy with the company, and then I'd hang around a few days, and whenever we'd run out of parts, well, I'd fly back in on a helicopter and round up parts and either take them back out or send them out with somebody. Well, I was trying to send them out by themselves, but half the time they didn't make it. So
They didn't make it.
no,
What happened to him?
too many people would sign for it or whatever. He'd put it on a helicopter and it'd go to such and such helipad, and or a company, whichever. But most time these guys would just unload it. Nobody there. They'd take off, and half time it didn't end up at your company or whatever. But anyway, started sending people out with it. And that's what I done basically the whole time I was there.
Was the supply system effective in Vietnam?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had what they call a Red Ball Express. If you needed something, we ordered right from the States. And this captain, he gave me authority. He was always gone doing something. Said, you need something, just sign my name. And we even ordered the supply sergeant had come up with an APC we weren't supposed to have, but anyway, we had it. And guys burnt the engine up on it. So I just ordered that Red Ball Express. It was like a 383 Chrysler engine, and it was less than 2 weeks. It was there. And they put it in and took off.
APC, is that Armored Personnel Carrier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, did you have parts you weren't authorized?
Yes, sir. We sure did.
How did that work?
Well, it worked fine until inspectors started coming around, and then we had the big CMMI inspection. We had to get rid of a lot of things.
What is CMMI?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I know it was a battalion inspection. They inspected the whole battalion for
Now, how'd you get these unauthorized parts?
trading them with other companies. I trade, one would be out of wheel bearings, and they'd need some brake shoes, or they'd need, hydrovacs or starters, generator, whatever. Some would have these, so you just trade with them, and trade with the Koreans sometime.
Tell me about the Koreans.
They had a little compound just a few miles from Xeon, and we got acquainted with them a little bit, not much, but enough to where we go down and trade parts with them. And one time they were out of wheel bearings for either 5 tons or deuce and halves, and just so happens I had a whole bunch of them. So I ended up trading wheel bearings for Korean beer, this Crown beer in these 5th bottles. So I'd get several cases of beer, go by S&T, trade them a case of beer for a case of steaks.
What's S&T?
Supply and transit
Okay.
deal. They handle about everything.
So you traded beer for steaks.
Beer for steaks, and we had a barbecue. We done that a few times.
Where was the closest town to your base?
can't. There was one little village not too far from there, I'd say about 5-6 miles, where we went in to have the laundry done. It was once a week or twice a week. Once a week, I believe. They hauled all the laundry in.
Now, who did the laundry?
The Vietnamese.
Okay.
And gosh, I'm trying to think. I've got a book in there. I can show you the town, but can't remember. It seemed like it was Two Duck, or I can't remember.
What was the reaction of the local people to you?
Got along great with most of them, every one of them. Really, I never had any trouble at all with them.
I've heard people saying you couldn't tell who the enemy was.
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
No, unless they were, most of them in their, what you call it, their black pajamas or whatever. And of course the uniform, North Vietnamese soldiers, you could tell by their uniform.
Did you come in contact with any of North Vietnamese?
We were in quite a few firefights over there when I'd go out with them, and there's one time I think we got mortared for like 13 days straight at chow time every time, seemed like. And there was several people hit with shrapnel, but no, I never had any direct contact with any of the North of the VC, I guess, or North Vietnamese. But
what are the monsoons?
the monsoon rains, well, it rains about every day, 2 or 3 times a day, and most of the time you're walking around in mud about ankle deep, because after the dry season it's dust about 6 inches deep or so, and then the rain comes. But it rains every day, several times.
How do you stay dry?
You don't. You don't. You had a poncho, and you done the best you could with the poncho, and well, even in summertime, you didn't stay dry. You was wet from sweat. But
How long do the monsoons last?
it seemed like it was split up about 6 months, half the year wet and half dry. It seemed like. But I don't remember what was. I know it was when I landed in Saigon. It was steamy hot. It had rained, and the sun come out, and the steam just hit you in the face. And when that pilot, whenever he landed, he come in like this. He said, well, the reason we're coming in like that is to keep people from shooting at us.
So almost a vertical dive.
Yeah, I mean, just about as big, big a dive as he could do. So.
Now, you said that you helped build some bridges over there?
Yeah, I got in on one of those panel bridges where you add a section on, push it out, and add another section on, push it out. And it was out on one of the operations. I don't remember.
You recall the name of the river? Or?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't even remember the operation.
Who was your commanding officer?
Can't remember. I know Westmoreland was the big chief over there at the time.
Any person in your unit stand out in your memory?
Yeah, there was a few people over there. There was a Sergeant Kiefer. He was from Texas. And well, most of these guys were just a bunch of misfits. I mean, crazy. And got drunk about every night. But there was Sergeant Kiefer, and then there was a bulldozer operator named Tim Boswell. he lived up in Boston. In fact, he picked me up when I went to Boston and showed me around the town and stuff, and took me to Fort Devens. But and then another guy named Todd, he come to see me. He got back. He was stationed up, or when I got out, he was still in. He was stationed up here at Fort Riley, I guess. Or one of them, Kansas, one of the Army bases in Kansas.
Fort Riley or Fort Leonard Wood?
Yeah, Leavenworth, one of those.
Yeah, okay.
He came to see me, stayed a few days. But as far as contact, not very long with any of them. There was one that come by and seen me the other day, 2 or 3 months ago, and I hadn't seen him since he got out of the service. He was from Harrison, Arkansas.
How long were you in Vietnam?
Just a year.
Just a year.
Mm-hmm.
What's your best memory of Vietnam?
Oh, just the camaraderie with all the men, and had a good time really with a lot of them. Wasn't really any bad firefights or anything like that. Only time we were really scared one time, we were sitting in the theater watching a movie. Somebody opened the door and threw a grenade in, and the grenade popped, and there's a fuse. Well, it turned out to be a smoke grenade. But I mean, time that thing started smoking, they wasn't on nobody left in that theater. As people got run over and everything else, but that old boy, they'd killed him. They'd found him that night.
What's your worst memory of Vietnam?
I don't really have any
Okay.
bad memories of it. I mean, I never did have anybody close to me killed. There was a few wounded, got some shrapnel and stuff.
Now, when you went out, what were you carrying on your person?
You mean as weapon?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd carry the M16. Well, when we first got there, we had M14s, and then about 3 months after we got there, they give us the M16s.
How does the M16 compare to the M14?
I like the M14 a lot better than the 16. The 14 was, I mean, it could be dirty. It would fire. You could drop it in the mud. It'd fire. It was accurate. The only drawback to it is just a little bit heavier, and they're hard to shoot on fully automatic because they climb on you. But I still like it as far as a long range weapon, because you can hit stuff at 1,500 yards with a M14, but M16 it's close range, and more or less, a few hundred yards, and you know where it's going.
I didn't ask, but the area around Xeon, is it a jungle area, or what's the topography around Firebase Xeon?
Well, it was cleared out. It was probably about a 2 or 3 mile compound around it, maybe a little farther. And of course, it was all, they had roads built and everything was all clean and this and that, but it was flat and jungle area.
What was your average day over there?
Oh, average day, get up at then Reveille, it was about what, 6, I think. Got up at 5 every morning. Well, we actually got up at 6. I think Reveille was 7 o'clock. And with that old boy on the radio, that "Good Morning Vietnam" was, we heard him some. And anyway, you got up early and you stood Reveille and then go to chow and then head to the motor pool and just do whatever needed to be done. A lot of times I'd take off and go to Saigon or go to Benoit and trade for parts. Or
Tell me about Saigon.
I didn't stay in Saigon a lot. I went to 2 different places in Saigon where we were traded parts with, but it was all fast and busy. You know, a lot of Lambrettas and little motor scooters and this and that. And I stopped at a bar or 2 a few times, but it's busy.
Yeah. Was your unit involved in any of the big operations in Vietnam?
Yeah, I think I was in Cedar Falls, and there was a couple more. I'd have to get my yearbook.
In those operations, what did you do?
Well, just supply them with parts. You know, I didn't really do that much. I just there guarding my parts and passing them out whenever they needed them, and come fly back out, and then a lot of times I'd fly back out with them, and I enjoyed the flying on the Hueys. So. But not much, you know.
Any USO shows come in your area?
Oh yeah.
Who'd you see?
Seen Bob Hope, and seen I think it was Miss World or Miss USA at the time, and seen Phyllis Diller and Joey Heatherton, is that her name? And I think that's all. And we had some come to our company. Little Jimmy Dickens come over there and played in our church theater bar. So, but he was fun. In fact, he came back to our barracks and done some drinking with us after he got through playing. And he was funny.
Tell me about coming home.
Coming home, well, everybody had smiles from ear to ear just to get out of that place. And we went to Benoit Air Force Base there. Benoit Air Force Base. See, I think I flew over on World Airlines, and I flew back on Flying Tiger Airlines. And but we left there at, I don't remember what time it was, but I think it was an 18-hour flight from there to Travis Air Force Base. And it's long. You know, you get up and move around, but still, can't everybody get up at the same time, move around. But you just try to sleep.
What'd you do when you got back to the States?
When I got back to the States, they kind of processed us out there at Travis. And, well, no, they didn't process it out. That U.S. Army something, when they do all the processing of do all the paperwork for wherever you're going, wherever you're assigned to. I don't know who does the actual assigning, but they do all the paperwork. You get your shots and stuff, and your orders, of course, where you're going next. So
Where'd you go?
I went to Fort Devens, Massachusetts, and I was there for 6 months. And they were forming the 18th Engineer Battalion to come back to Vietnam. And everybody that came into the company had between 3 and 6 months left in the service. So they wasn't nobody really give a hoot. Because they know they wasn't going back to Vietnam, they was just there.
Yeah.
And finally the new recruits started coming in after about, seemed like 5 or 6 weeks.
Were you aware of the anti-Vietnam demonstrations over here?
Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
Well, at first I didn't like it, and later on I began to, after so many thousands of men were dead, and we really wasn't accomplishing a dang thing, I got to sympathizing with them more than I did.
Why were
Understanding, I guess.
Why were we in Vietnam?
I guess to keep communism from taking over was my understanding to start with, but later on, I don't know. I don't really know why we were there. It just seemed like an entire waste, because it wasn't 2 years after we got out of there that the North took it over anyway. So
When did you get your discharge?
in May of '68.
What did you do after your discharge?
Well, I went back and tried to get a job back at Red Pump. They told me they were supposed to give me a job back after he was drafted. And the only thing they had to offer me was second shift. And I didn't really want to work second shift. So I went back to work at the gas station for about, I got back in, got out in May. And see, I did finally get back on a Red Pump in January '69. So, and that's where I spent 37 years at Red Pump.
What you do there at that time?
Oh, first started out back in '69. Worked in what they call the water well department. They had this. They call it toy department. Built the little small submersible water pumps for pumps and motors. I wound motors and built pumps and about everything in there. Then I got an opportunity to go salary position, work expediting parts for the water well department, and just kept slowly moving up. We'd had a dispatch department and went through that, and scheduling and went through that, and finally, my last 5 years there, I was in customer service. It was a heck of a job, but it was tough.
Did you ever meet Mr. Artunoff?
Not personally. He was still alive, and I'd seen him down there, but as far as meeting him personally, no. But he was quite a man, I understand.
Would you join the Army again?
No, sir. I believe I'd join the Air Force. That's where I was especially over in that Benoit Air Force Base. You go over there, and man, they had the neatest hooches, or whatever you want to call them. There was those,
Quonset huts?
yeah, Quonset huts.
Yeah.
Real nice quarters, and they wasn't but about 4 people to a Quonset hut, and everything they had was just nice. Had TVs in the rooms and everything else.
I'd like to do a word association.
Pardon me?
I'd like to do a word association. Today, when you hear basic training, what do you think of?
Fort Polk, Louisiana. And crawling around, doing that dadgum low crawl. Oh, I hated doing that low crawl on the ground and that obstacle course you had to go through.
Combat engineer.
Well, I just think of all of the things the guys done in Vietnam, from building roads and bridges and clearing mines and everything else that I didn't get to do. I really didn't want to. So,
1st Engineer Battalion.
1st Engineer Battalion. I really liked the outfit. It seemed to be, they knew what they were doing, I don't know, just a bunch of nice guys, bunch of nice people.
Firebase Xeon.
Firebase Xeon. That was my home for a year, so it was my biggest memory, I guess, every night is listening to the artillery fire all night, every night. You just it kept you awake to start with, and then after a few months you kind of slept good with it.
Vietnam.
Well, actually, I enjoyed the biggest part of my tour of Vietnam. I really did. I met a lot of nice guys, and luckily I never really got any bad trouble, never got wounded or hurt, so I was lucky there. And I don't know, I didn't have any bad feelings toward it when I was there, It was just later on I got soured because of all the people that had been killed, and didn't seem like they were getting anywhere.
Ho Chi Minh.
Everybody wanted to kill Ho Chi Minh, I guess. It was just a name to me mostly, because I never seen him on a TV, I think, at some time.
LBJ.
LBJ. Well, he sent us to Vietnam, and Nixon got us out, so. But I didn't like LBJ, I really didn't. It's always been a talk of conspiracy between him and Kennedy and stuff like that, so I just didn't care for the man.
Richard Nixon.
A lot of people didn't like him, but I liked him. I don't know, I know he got his self in trouble with Watergate, but I don't know, personally, he just seemed like a pretty good president. But.
How do you want to be remembered?
Oh, just that he's a good old boy, tried to help people all he could, and enjoy life.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
About Vietnam, anything?
No, I don't think so.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview.
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
All right.
And again, this is July 23rd, 2014. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Randy Birmingham in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Thank you.
All right.